For those working in agriculture, there is a deep appreciation for the land, faith, and family at the core of farmers and ranchers. In this week's TWILA Boost, we bring you a video by Sendero Provisions Co showing just how deep those values run in one American rancher.
There's so many beautiful things about the ranching life. And we produce food, and we take that seriously. Folks don't know about it, but it's out here. And I think that's why this industry has survived and will keep surviving, because we're doing things right. Stewardship is often thought of as water conservation, air quality, right? And we look at stewardship in this family, on this ranch, not just of the water and the air, but the livestock, right? How we care for them. There's a science to it in a lot of ranches, and we ourselves really take pride in how we handle our cattle. We look at every interaction we have with that cow, or a bull, or a calf, or a steer, that it's a positive one from their perspective. And that changes things. And so I'm gonna do right by that old cow, that steer, to do right by that person in LA that decides to grill steaks, you know? And no one's gonna know that I did it. But I know, right? And I'm speaking for ranchers all across this country. A steward is someone who takes good care of those blessings that were God-given, right? The air, the water, the landscape, the animals, my wife, my kids, my banker, the person that owns the grocery store, the fellow that runs the feed store. Am I being a good steward of them, right? Am I honoring that relationship, that trust that we have? I spend most of the day without cell service. And for the most part, I'm just hearing the sounds around me of Mother Nature and the cattle. The distractions are not there. You can do a lot of thinking. You really can. I can rehearse how things went in the morning when I left the house and think about how do I need to be a little better when I come in that night, when I bust through the back door and greet my kids. I'm fortunate and blessed that my wife and I are on the same page. We see what life on a ranch can offer a family. We see the qualities, we see the value that it can bring to a family, and where you raise your kids and where you conduct your business and where you recreate. I mean, it's all right there on that ranch, and it provides so much of all those elements. And probably most especially and most importantly, what it does for our kids. You know, I've always told my kids, you don't have to leave here someday and get an education and come back here and ranch, but you can leave here with all the attributes this ranch provided for you. The hard work and the loyalty and the dedication and the prayer life and not quit until the job is done, and all those things that is just provided for us here whether we want it or not. As we say, never miss a good chance to disappoint, you know? If those kids have to endure a little hardship that's this big, it's gonna get them ready for the bigger hardships, right? And if they have to bury their pet goat over here, or if they have to bury their best horse, then it's gonna be a little easier when we lay grandma to rest, or grandpa to rest, or a sibling. You know, God forbid those big tragedies. And some days are tough. I had one of my siblings come work with me, and he said, I just can't get over how physically hard it is. He was here during a storm hit, and we were out in the middle of the night trying to save calves, and it was hard. I mean, dang, physically hard. You know, but it's all about making this ranch better. Some people say, oh, I hate to get off my horse and fence. That's something I'm not gonna do. You can find someone else to build fence. Well, you know what? I can build a fence in the last 40 years. My grandkids will be using that fence. Okay, there's something to be said about building a good fence. There's something to be said about building a set of corrals that'll be there for decades. There'll be something to be said about the hard work in calving and maybe assisting a cow calving and saving a calf's life. It's harder than heck, and you're covered in you know what when it's all over, but you saved a calf's life. My 5 kids, along with their dozen first cousins, are the 7th generation on this ranch. I also know, it was said to me this way, it's not about us, it's about the next generation. And by that I mean, I've got about 20 more years to get this ranch in a spot where I can pass it on. So my wife and I have that goal. This ranch was passed on to us in better condition that her father received it, and now we pass it on to our kids in better condition than we received it. That is the legacy that is important to my wife and I. At the end of the day, many times right here under the barn, it's dark and we're unsaddling underneath the light, and we're tired and cranky and it's been a long day, right? But it's been a good day. We worked hard on our ranch, raising beef. You know, it's a special thing, riding horses that we've raised and trained. And we may be tired, but everyone's still happy. There's joy in this family. There's joy on this ranch.
We had to cut that video down a little bit for time, so to see it in its entirety, visit the link on our website at twilatv.org. That does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll have this same show again. That's because we're taking a break to help with the final stretch of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation's 99th annual unconventional convention events next week. In the meantime, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we put out new content. We just passed 11,000 subscribers. For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We leave you this week with some beautiful drone footage of some corn, hay, and sugarcane fields in Rapides Parish. Enjoy.